Hello everyone. Good evening to everyone. Happy Visara to all of you. I told you to do a project work on green accounting. You can also call them as environmental accounting. Just I explain you what is green accounting or environmental accounting. Now, it is an accounting. You may call it green accounting or environmental accounting, uh, which uh, allows an organization commitment, okay, which drives the business firm's commitment because business has a lot of responsibilities towards different stakeholders. Because studied in BOM, the responsibilities of the business. They're responsible for the people and they're responsible for earning profit. They're responsible to the customers. They're responsible to the society and also responsible to the nature, Mother Nature. That means they are also responsible to protect the environment or safeguard the environment. And also called defined as green accounting practices or environmental accounting practices are implemented by companies or business firms to include the what is the environmental cost in their financial strategy. That means the business, a company has to borrow, has to take a lot of materials from the nature. For example, you are you come to the campus, you have soft drinks, you take a lot of soft drinks, you take a burger, a pizza, you take the charts, all the raw materials are coming from the nature. So what happens? The nature, after some period of time, the resources may deplete. That means the resource of other nature will come down as the time progresses. We are speaking about natural resources. Any product that is manufactured that is total with greater impact on the environment because we buy, we take raw materials from the nature. So we need to defend the unwanted side effects of production or consumption on the environment. Therefore, we need to incur some expenditure. So those expenditures are called defensive expenditure because we have to reduce the impact of our production or consumption on the nature, on the mother nature. And the second most important thing is we have man-made properties like building and equipment. What we'll do, we can we can deduct the depreciation from that property. That is straight line method or diminishing balance method. But we don't care about natural resources which are depleting every year. We take as a free gifts of nature, but we have to incur a hidden cost. So those materials which are sourced from the nature are not free gifts. We have to incur some hidden cost. So that cost has to be included in our financial statements. So these two important aspects has to be taken into account in the financial statements. The first one is the defensive expenditure, where we have to defend our environmental, um, our nature against the side effects of production or consumption. And the second thing, and there is hidden cost because when we use materials from the nature, that is from the natural resources, that resources may be depleting every year, will come down every year. For example, you're producing electricity from the coal resources might deplete every year. After 50 years, you don't find coal in the nature. Similarly, we use petrol or diesel. So hardly after 50 years, the petrol and diesel reserves will be exhausted. That is told by uh, the companies that working there, the companies producing the petrol and diesel. So this is a grave concern for our society. Therefore, we should include in our financial statements the cost, the impact of production or consumption on the environment. Now, it includes the environmental assets and resources into the corporate account because we take the materials. Materials can also be called as assets of the environment. And remember, that is not free gift. That is not a free gift. Water. Water we use for a lot of products, like for cold drinks or soft drinks. We use water for every type of products. So water is not freely available. You have to pay for it. You have to conserve the water. So what is the cost of water? What is the total cost of water we are taking from the environment? You have to include in the financial statements. You have to include in the preparing final accounts or preparing balance sheet or P&L account. It also measures the social and environmental and economic impact of business. With the implementation of green accounting or environmental accounting, the corporate sector becomes aware of the environmental parameters and inculcate the cost in the budget. So we should include the cost of the impact of environment by producing goods and services on the society. So that cost it include, and thus those are not free gifts of nature. Today there is no such free gifts. We have to pay for it because the resources are depleting every year. So because we need to we need to include those type of costs in our financial accounting. Go for the next slide. We have different types of green accounting or environmental accounting. The first type is environmental management accounting. It incorporates the environmental and economic information by identifying the resource usage and the cost of organization's economic impact on the environment. Let's discuss a lot of things like the resources are not the free gifts of nature because resources might deplete over a period of time. We have to we have to include those resources at the cost in our financial statements, and any resources, any materials using for producing the final product, that you have to include that cost in our financial statements. Now we have the financial accounting, environmental financial accounting. It is concerned with accounting for environment transactions that have an impact on the financial performance of the company because I told you that we have to include those defensive expenditure cost and hidden cost uh, in the our financial performance of the company. It has a more impact on the financial performance of the company because they are responsible not only to the customers or to the consumers or to the suppliers, they are responsible to the society and environment. We have to protect the environment. We should not degrade the environment. At least we have to minimize the cost. That means we have to minimize the effects on environment by producing our goods and services. We have the third type of accounting is environmental national accounting, and it focus on natural resources and green cost. Now, how to implement green accounting? Now, the first best step for implementing green accounting is to eliminate paperwork in the office, and we are done during the lockdown, work from home. So we don't use any papers, and also we can store our data in the cloud computing storage. You know that cloud computing is a new technology where we can store our files, all types of data in the server. That is how we can eliminate a paper. So what happens is if we save 1 ton of paper, it saves around 682 gallons of oil. That is what the EPA Act says, that the world is concerned with the impact of the climate change. The world is suffering from climate change. So we can uh, reduce the climate change. We can reduce our dependence on the paper by using the technology, or by using our digital technology to compute our financial statements, and we can store in the cloud storage for a nominal fee. Thereby, we can save a tons of paper, 1 ton of paper that saves around 682.5 gallons of oil. Now, the second important way of implementing green data is educate employees. We can train the employees about eco-friendly ways to work in the office, educate them about best paper usage and recycling program. So that will reduce the impact of on environment. Now, the third best method is identify techniques, the minimizing the energy consumption at different segments, identify the techniques to implement a greener solution. What happens is that in the other countries, in some European countries, they have to go through the what is a EPA verified products. That means that what is EPA, Environmental Protection Act, was passed in India 1986. Same act was there in the European countries. The law says in those countries you have to pass the test of EPA. That means your products should conform to the EPA standards. That means your product should not degrade the environment. Your product should not pollute the environment. Okay, that means you produce the products by defending the environmental impacts. So that is called EPA verified products. You heard that halal products. In Muslims, the Shariat law says that some products have to manufacture according to Shariat law. That means the halal products. You have EPA verified products. That means those products has not degraded the environment. That those products have not created any pollution. So that act was there in the European countries. We don't know in future in India. We may also come across those type of laws in the future where all the products have to conform to the EPA, Environmental Protection Act standards. That means your products or services should not harm the environment, should not pollute the environment. Third, the next important step is increased mobilization. As I told you that work from home was very good practice we done. At least we saved a lot of tons of paper, and the employees used to work from home. At least we have prevented the tons of carbon dioxide emission entering the Earth's atmosphere. So we can do that way also, or we can say thrice a week. The employees are asked to come to the office to work thrice a week or twice a week, or you can also encourage the employees to buy the green scooters, you can say, the electric scooters, or you can say a carpooling system. Last important way how to implement environment is save electricity. So we can include the energy saving devices or appliances where we can save a particular amount in a particular area. So turn off systems and lights when you're not using and upgrade to energy efficient appliances so that we can save our electricity. This is what the environmental accounting or green accounting. So thanks a lot. Please see this video, and any doubts they can share in the WhatsApp group. So thanks a lot.